gets it.
I think the flag was before the play, Pat. This isn't gonna count because the flag came out and the whistle blew before the ball was snapped, and it's going to be against the Vikings anyway.
There was a little fracas.
Full start.
Yeah,
Number
you're
73.
right.
Offense.
You see who came out?
5-yard penalty.
Broke
Second
things
down.
up between Smith.
Yeah, here's Todd Stussy here. See, and he moves before the ball snapped right there. So when he moved, that stopped the play. The flag came out and the whistle blew.
Todd Stussy is playing at about 90%. He hurt his knee earlier this year, but at 90% he's still one of the best offensive tackles in the league. Here's Cunningham to Smith, taken down by Leon Lett.
What were you talking about? Who came out? Was it Deion Sanders?
Yeah, I was about to say, look who broke it up. Here comes Deion Sanders, bad toe and all. Peacemaker.
Whatever you can do to help.
Yes.
He's proved one thing, like I said earlier, you can be the best in football, but you can't play with 9 toes.
No, especially they call it a great toe. I call it a big toe.
Well, you never know how much you use that big toe or great toe until you hurt it.
Here comes another blitz by Dallas, and Cunningham is down. I wonder if that one's going to be played under protest.
Well, there are no protests in the NFL that count. They're protests, but they don't count. They never change anything.
Dallas had nobody deep. They rushed 11, and the ball by Berger goes all the way to the Dallas 1.
And that's what Chan Gailey was talking about. He lost his punt returner in Deion Sanders. Kevin Smith was going to be the punt returner.
Number 17, Mitch Berger of Minnesota.
That's a turducken, Pat.
You'll explain that, I hope. Emmett Smith out to about the 6, a little bit of running room.
Yeah, we were talking about that punt return, and this is one of the chances that the Cowboys were going to take. And what they did is they put 11 men up, and they didn't have anyone back as a return guy.
And then the Berger went ahead and got off a good punt. And the Vikings alertly got down and downed it at the 1. With that run, well, I'll get to it in just a second. Here's another run by Emmett Smith. And he spins outside the 10. That's close to a first down.
Here it is, Pat. Here's the thing. You see they have 11 men up here. They have no return guy back here at all. So they're counting on getting a rush and making Mitch Berger make a bad punt. Now, when Chan Gailey talked about this, he said the thing that you worry about is that they get down there like Ramus McDonald does right here and stops the ball before it gets in the end zone. But Mitch Berger made a heck of a kick.
He sure did. Emmett Smith just passed Jim Brown into 5th place on the all-time rushing list with that run that got the first down for Dallas. Aikman has Davis in motion. Smith behind Newton, and Emmett flashes into the secondary, and Emmett Smith has got another Dallas first down.
Sometimes it's smart when you leave your big offensive guard who's pulling there, and that's what happened. As we said, it was that same play earlier that we saw where Nate Newton pulled, but Emmett Smith started to see Nate Newton pull to the right, and then when he pulled, he just left him when he went back to the other side. Watch him. Here's Nate Newton. He's going to pull to the right. It's a counter play, but Emmett Smith says, I see something back here to the left that looks a little easier, and then he outran it for the first down. But watch right here, the old stiff arm. I mean, that's a stiff arm that came very close to being a choke.
He got a good block from his fullback, Moose Johnson. 2 tight ends. Aikman throws quickly. Pass is caught by Irvin. Fumble, and Minnesota has it. A flag on the play. Back at the line of scrimmage.
That was a heck of a throw by Troy Aikman, though, Pat. I mean, he was off balance to throw, and the penalty is going to be against the Minnesota Vikings. So the Cowboys will get the ball back. Sometimes you get those fumbles, and I think that Michael Irvin just had one by trying too hard.
Left defensive tackle lined up in the neutral zone.
That's Jerry Paul, the left defensive tackle.
Previous spot. First down.
And he's awfully close to lining up on every play offsides.
Well, what Jerry Ball does and the defensive tackles of the Minnesota Vikings are always trying to take as much of the football as they can. But the neutral zone is the length of the football, and they can't get any part of their head over the football.
And he's very close every play. But Jerry Ball is playing very well for Minnesota.
Especially on first and second down against the run.
Aikman. Irvin. Michael gets up to about the 34.
You know, we talk about screen passes, and usually screen passes are run to running backs or guys out of the backfield. That was a screen pass that was run to a wide receiver. Michael Irvin was lined up out here as a wide receiver on the right side. He just stepped back. The line came down and got in front of him and formed a screen. And he just went down the sideline.
Jason Fisk checks in to the Minnesota defensive front. Two tight ends set up for Dallas. First down. Aikman drops. Here comes Ball in a hurry. Just got rid of it.
That's the thing, you know, and there was another screen, a second screen in a row, but you have to block those inside guys. You just can't let them, even if you're going to leave and get out in a screen, you have to block that inside guy first. And especially when Jerry Ball, see how close he is to the ball?
He's offside.
He looks like he is over the ball there again. But now watch, when he comes, you have to get him blocked. You just can't let him go. You see, they just give him a little bump, and then they let him run right through. Jerry Ball ran right through, and Troy Aikman had to throw the ball before he was ready.
Second and 10. Here's Aikman back to throw it. Throws it quickly. And his man open. There's a flag on the play. It was Billy Davis who had the ball on the money but dropped it. But there's a flag on the play.
That's why you always want a receiver to catch a ball with his hand. Because anytime he lets the ball get that close to him, it can hit his pads like it did.
Number 57, defense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Dwayne Rudd.
Now, let's go back to the one that Michael Irvin dropped, Pat, earlier. Remember, sometimes I said you try too hard. Michael Irvin dropped that ball when he
had
tried,
the ball.
I know he tried to stiff arm and forgot he had the ball. And the Vikings got that ball. Luckily, there was a penalty against the Vikings.
It's a first down after the penalty. Illegal contact called against Dwayne Rudd. And the Cowboys get a first down and a break at their own 39.
That's the second break they've had on this drive.
Two tight ends again. Emmett Smith. No place to go for Emmett this time. Lost a couple.
You know, Pat, it's interesting. You look down here in the Minnesota Viking bench, and you know, you talk about how Randall Cunningham really is a different guy, and how he's at peace with himself and all that stuff. He's just sitting on the bench all by himself. There's not another guy in the picture. There's no teammates around. There was no coaches talking to him. That's Brian Billick right now, who's the offensive coordinator, who just came up and started to talk to him. But I was just looking down there, and he was just like he's sitting on a bench in the park.
Yeah. Eating a few chocolates.
Down to tulips.
Here's Aikman with long time. And misses Eric Bjornsson. Bjornsson was cutting across.
Watch John Randall there. It looked like the Vikings were trying to call timeout, and someone yelled timeout, but the officials didn't see it. And half the Vikings, especially see Ed McMahon is trying to call timeout right there, but the officials, and it's only a timeout if the officials see it. The officials didn't see it nor call it, so it's not a timeout.
So it's third down and about 12. 8:19 left in the second quarter. Here comes a safety blitz by Minnesota. Aikman thought Davis is going deep. Pass comes between Irvin and Billy Davis, and nobody there.
Either that or Troy Aikman was just throwing that one away, because the Vikings are getting after him now. And like I said, the Cowboys had a couple of breaks on that one. And I think the fact that they're able to punt this thing away is a break.
Oh, it's Toby going. And David Palmer back deep for Minnesota. Going to get a chance to do something with this one. First man misses. Look out. Palmer. And he's finally chased out of bounds. David Palmer. And they keep telling us he can make things happen.
And he does. In every game I've ever seen the Minnesota Vikings play, David Palmer has a big play or two. The only guy that was close to catching him and almost did was Sherman Williams.
And he was closing on him.
And if he weren't there, that would have been a touchdown for Palmer. But there is a flag on the play anyway.
And the Minnesota players are standing way back close to where Palmer fielded the ball.
And everyone else is walking back towards that area.
Yeah.
The referee is pointing towards that area. We have some pretty good indicators.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 83 of the receiving team. During the kick, he blocked the man while it was out of bounds. It'll be half the distance penalty.
Robert
Timeout.
Tate.
You see, that's Robert Tate right there. Now,
I want that turkey at my house. Chris Carter drags both feet and makes the catch inbound.
you know, one of the things that the Cowboy defense, because they don't have Deion Sanders, they have to really change all their defenses, and they're playing a lot of what we call cover two, where they have the two safeties deep and the corners up, and it's a totally different defense than they've been used to. And what it does is, for most part, it takes their safeties out of the game, especially Darren Woodson. Now he's up here close to the line of scrimmage on this play. In fact, he looks like he's going to blitz. Still looks like he's going to blitz, and he is. And he makes the play.
Robert Smith tried to get out of the trap. Darren Woodson faked blitz 2 or 3 times and finally did come.
Yeah, because when they play the cover two and he has to be the safety, he can't do these kinds of things. They realize that, and they realize that they have to get him up around the line of scrimmage, and that's exactly what they do. They bring him from the outside. And that's not bad, because if it's a pass, he's going to be a pass rusher. If it's a run, he just comes right down the line like he did there unblocked.
Horde has replaced Smith for Minnesota as the runner.
But now you see how deep these safeties are.
Cunningham has time, and incomplete, intended for Chris Carter. Charlie Williams covering him.
And you see what happens. Here's what I'm talking about in the cover two. Because they don't have Deion Sanders here, they're putting their corners up and keeping their safeties deep. Now that is an easier thing to run in there against, because you take Darren Woodson, who is like a linebacker and who is big against the run, you're making him play 15 yards deep, and that is not an effective thing for this Dallas Cowboy defense.
3rd and 14, 3 wide receivers for Minnesota. And Cunningham comes out of the pocket and fires incomplete, out of bounds.
I think the Cowboys got what they needed when they blitzed Darren Woodson.
Yeah.
You know, that was the thing. You need something to change the momentum. You need something to change the game, and a blitz will usually do it. And that's exactly what they did. Then they got the Minnesota Vikings in 3rd and long, and then they could play their coverage and get a little push.
Kevin Smith goes back to receive the punt for Minnesota. Mitch Berger, whose first kick was 65 yards, has a tremendous average, particularly the last couple of weeks. He has really been kicking the ball, and this one is not his best, as it takes a sideways bounce and goes out of bounds. First and 10, Cowboys at their own 45. 21-6, Minnesota leading. Aikman drops. Aikman hits Billy Davis.
You know, one of the great battles out there is Larry Allen and John Randall.
Yeah.
And Larry Allen, you know, we know he's so big and strong, but he's also showing against John Randall his quickness. Larry Allen is maybe the strongest guy in the NFL. He's bench pressed 600 pounds. And then when he goes against Randall out there, he has to use that strength of 600 pounds, but he has to use that speed because John Randall is one of the quickest defensive linemen in football.
1st and 10. Emmett Smith, the ball carrier, knocked backwards by Ed McDaniel.
John Randall is out there talking to Larry Allen. Larry Allen doesn't pay any attention to him.
No.
He just walks away from him. So all that John Randall is doing, and Randall's a big talker anyway. You know, and
Every play.
all John Randall's doing is talking to his back. Watch him. Watch him. The play is over now. And he gets one more shot. He just starts walking away. Look at John Randall. He's just carrying on, carrying on, carrying on. And Larry Allen's back in the huddle.
Didn't even see it.
I bet he heard it, though.
On 2nd down, Aikman throws quickly outside, incomplete. Billy Davis, the intended receiver. Jeff Ogden has been taken to the locker room for a contusion in the right shoulder. X-rays being taken. Jeff had been returning kickoffs. Maybe the fastest of all the Cowboys, with the exception of Deion Sanders.
Yeah, and he's the rookie wide receiver that, because of the injury to Ernie Mills and because of Deion Sanders' injury, was going to play a lot more today, especially in this situation here when they go 3, 4, or 5 wide receivers.
Shotgun formation for Michael Irvin, incomplete.
That was a good read by Troy Aikman. I think it was the ball was thrown a little behind Michael Irvin. Now it looked like he had a step in the defender, and the ball was thrown back at his left shoulder. Watch Aikman. He's reading there. He makes a good read there, but he did throw it behind Michael Irvin.
He did. And that's unusual for Aikman.
Yeah, because usually, I mean, the big thing about Troy Aikman is he's so accurate, and he usually hits that receiver right in stride. Had he hit Irvin in stride, that would have been a first down.
Colby going back to punt it. Into the end zone and out. They'll start from the 20, the Vikings.
It's now time for the Zenith.
That's Viking running back, excellent running back Robert Smith, who has a sprained right knee and will not return. And that's going to hurt the explosiveness of the Minnesota attack.
Yeah, because they have Leroy Hort in there now, and Leroy Hort said the other day, he said, if you need a yard, I'll get you 3. If you need 5 yards, I'll get you 3. So that's
what you're saying is Leroy doesn't have a whole lot of speed.
No, but he'll pound it in there for 3 on you.
No matter what you need. There's Cunningham faking to Hort and dropping it off to Leroy Hort. And Hort is a strong runner, and with that last little surge, he got close to a first down.
You know, and the Vikings have to continue to run, even though they don't have Robert Smith, because they can't become one-dimensional. Because that's what the Cowboys want to do. The Cowboys wanted to take away the run, make them one-dimensional, and then just go after Randall Cunningham in the passing game. Now, with Robert Smith out, the Vikings can't let him do that just because of an injury.
2 tight ends, one of them DeLong, and he stays in the block. Hort behind DeLong gets the first down.
See, now that's exactly what I was talking about there. It was like 2nd and 1. The Vikings needed a 1. They gave it to Leroy Hort, and he got him 3.
Leon Lett had been getting a rest.
Now, I don't know. I don't understand that. Why he'd been getting a rest on a change of possession. His offense had just been out there in the field. When you got the best defensive lineman on your team, one of the best in the league, I think he has to be in there every play.
That would make sense. Coakley blitz from the outside. This is DeLong, who is finally knocked out of bounds by the Cowboys after he got back to the line of scrimmage, and that's about all.
Now, you see what Leon Lett does when he's in there? I mean, he can just collapse that whole side. I mean, he's just right here, and he can just come, and his push. Watch what it does to those purple guys. It just pushes that whole line right back into Randall Cunningham because he has such a great surge. Here's Leon Lett here, and watch him. He just takes on 700 pounds of guy and still gets penetration. David Dixon is 350. Corey Springer's 350. He took that 700-pound guy right back to Randall Cunningham.
They need 10 for a first. There's a flag on the play. It's Cunningham's going to scramble out of there, chased and knocked backwards. It's Cunningham, and he pops back up like no one hit him.
Well, I'll tell you, he was hit. That was Randall Godfrey.
Number 98, defense. 5-yard penalty. Replay, second down.
98 is Greg Ellis. But I'll tell you, did Randall Godfrey hit Randall Cunningham? Holy moly. You have to have more respect for that than a guy with the same first name. But Randall Cunningham was so rubbery, though. You see what he did? I mean, he took that hit. He just bounced right back up. It was one of those things. You can't hurt me.
Randall fires incomplete. Looking to his left.
And maybe that hit by Randall Godfrey, maybe that took a little something out of Randall Cunningham because that ball went awry on him there.
Looking at Andrew Glover. Here it is again.
Watch him. He throws that ball and watch him unload. And he caught him right under the chin.
Yeah. Almost. If he hadn't had a chin strap, the helmet would have gone flying.
You know, that was one of those things that was very, very close to illegal being, helmet to helmet, but it was right underneath the helmet in the chin.
3rd and 5. Cowboys are up on the line of scrimmage, looking like they were going to blitz, and Cunningham calls a timeout.
You wonder about that shot. I mean, if it didn't, I know that Randall Cunningham, like he's saying that he's okay, and I know that that he's tough and that he did bounce up, but that can still take a little out of you.
3 minutes, 6 seconds left to play in the first half. 21-6, Minnesota leading. 3rd and 5. This time the Cowboys don't show blitz. And they don't blitz. And Cunningham throws incomplete to Moss, and they're saying he was interfered with, or he is saying they were draped around me, but that no flag.
Well, he's out here in Charlie Williams, and Charlie Williams has good coverage. He's going to start right here in a slant. You see it. Charlie Williams takes away the inside. Moss still gets in, and then Charlie Williams comes around from the backside and knocks it down. That's good coverage here.
Berger to punt it. Kevin Smith deep.
I think the Vikings ought to go back to that stuff that Randy Moss does so well, just chunking it deep.
Kevin Smith fields it. He hadn't returned kicks in a long time. Since his college days, only one as a pro. Happy Thanksgiving one more time. 21-6, Minnesota leading. 2:52 left in the first half. Bateman fakes. Right through the hands of David LaFleur.
I'll tell you one thing, Troy Aikman made a bad pass the last time they had the ball to Michael Irvin, but he's also had about 3 or 4 dropped on him today.
Just right through the hands.
I mean, he's had about 3 or 4 of those right through the hands. Then he had Billy Davis once where he caught it and it hit his shoulder pads. But this one here is a one. I mean, that's a perfect pass. I mean,
ball.
Professional receivers have to catch those kinds of passes. College receivers, high school receivers have to catch.
2nd and 10. Good protection. And again.
Holy moly, what the heck's going on?
Pass right on the money and drop.
This is something, and it's not the type of thing where these guys are intimidated. I think they're a little anxious because they're behind, but the thing, I mean, Troy Aikman is getting good pass protection, and he's throwing the ball in there. I mean, the ball is right there. Again, Michael Irvin brought that thing in a little close to his pads. The ball hit his pads and bounced right out. Chan Gailey is saying, what in the heck did these guys eat for a pregame meal today?
6 drop passes by the Cowboy receivers so far. Aikman again. This time he goes deep. And this time Patrick Jeffers is into the end zone. Touchdown. Two drops and 6 points.
And Troy Aikman stuck with it. His line stuck with it in their pass protection. And this is a guy that Troy Aikman was telling us about a couple weeks ago, a guy that he really likes. He didn't have him in training camp. They got him from the Denver Broncos just before the season started. And Troy said every week after week after week they're getting better.
That was Hitchcock chasing him, and he wasn't closing ground.
And the Cowboys, I think, were going to go for 2. Maybe they're going to take a timeout here.
I think they are. Patrick Jeffers went to high school in nearby Fort Worth.
But I tell you, he just runs right by Hitchcock, and then he puts some more speed because he gets a little more separation. They'll probably be talking about that coin flip. The last coin flip controversy that I remember was the old Dallas Texans.
Abner Haynes.
Abner Haynes. Hank Stram was the head coach.
They're going for 2. Emmitt Smith is the deep back. Moose Johnston, and they don't get the 2. 21-12.
Watch on the touchdown here, Pat, where Troy Aikman, he started to throw to the right. See, that wasn't a pump fake. He started to throw, and he stopped and brought it back and then went to the other side to Pat Jeffers.
And a perfect strike.
That is what you call a quarterback and his awareness in the pocket. Here's the 2 points. I don't think that if you have to get in the end zone, I don't think that Moose Johnston is the guy to do it.
Robert Griffith made the stop.
Yeah, and Robert Griffith, I think, is one of the most underrated players in the league. Every time we do a game, he makes big plays.
There's Denny Green, the coach of the Vikings, who I guess you just have to say he's done a heck of a job. Here's Robert Smith, and he's not even limping. And they say he won't return.
Yeah, but you know that he has a history of bad knees, and he has a history of knee surgery and those things. And sometimes you get something and you just know. There's Deion Sanders, who the Cowboys, I mean, to say they miss him, would be so obvious. But, you know, when a guy does as many things as he does, you miss him in a whole lot of areas.
Goins kickoff goes to Palmer. David Palmer, look out for this guy. There's a flag on the play, and Palmer's gone. They're not going to catch him. But they're going to bring it back, I'm sure. George Teague was chasing, and they're pointing in the other direction. The Cowboys are.
And that's the second time that Palmer had a big return. It's going to be brought back. Number 81.
Chris Walsh.
There he is, Chris Walsh. He was back there. He was back there doing the arguing.
They may have to give David Palmer some oxygen.
Little block in the back. Number 81 on the receiving team.
That's Chris Walsh.
10-yard penalty.
Chris Walsh is from Stanford. In fact, Chris Walsh played for Denny Green when Denny Green was the head coach at Stanford. And he is really upset. Chris Walsh is saying that he didn't do that. Or maybe when he started hitting himself between the 8 and the 1, he's saying that I did do that, but I'm sorry.
I don't think you hit yourself when you're sorry.
Here, right here, you're going to see Chris Walsh is right there. And you see that he was in position.
The only way you could block him was hit him in the back.
Yeah, right. And then his only decision was to either block him or just run right by him.
21-12, Minnesota leading. Leroy Horde is the running back. But Cunningham's going right to work again. The ball is deflected by Greg Ellis, the Cowboys' #1 draft choice last year. There's been a continuing controversy locally about whether the Cowboys should have taken Randy Moss and took Greg Ellis. They had an earlier shot and they didn't take him.
You know, Greg Ellis got that ball on the left side of the of the Minnesota Viking offense. And last week against the Green Bay Packers, Randall Cunningham had 2 or 3 batted on that same side. And when he has the balls batted, it seems like they happen when he throws to his left.
Cunningham's going to drop again after the fake to Horde. The pass is caught by Andrew Glover. Taft back at Texas Stadium. Pat Summerall with John Madden. 21-12 Minnesota. Minnesota struck quickly.
And then they really, on those 2 kickoff returns, they've lost 166 yards on those 2 kickoff returns. And one, of course, was a touchdown, and the other one could have been. So it could have been 166 yards and 14 points.
And Minnesota. Andrew Glover got the dropsy. That was a first down. Glover just made a good catch the play before.
And that was the thing I think that Denny Green was talking about and Randall Cunningham was talking about. With, you know, they don't have Jake Reed, so their 3 wide receivers aren't going to be such a big thing. So they're going to use more 2 tight ends like they're using today. And the tight end, Andrew Glover, is kind of in essence taking the place of Jake Reed as a receiver in this offense.
Chris Carter is left, split wide. And here comes the Cowboy blitz, and they won't get there. The pass is incomplete. And no flag, and that's hard to believe.
Omar Stoutmeyer was there. It looked like to me that Andrew Glover just fell down. And I think Glover was saying that he was pushed or knocked down by Stoutmeyer, but
that's what he's saying.
It looked like, you know, just from here that he was just running. Here he is right here, and he just fell down. Maybe he got tripped. Now tripping,
so.
Incidental tripping is not a penalty.
That's right.
So if it were a trip, that's not a penalty. If he had his hand on with a push, that would have been a penalty.
So it's 3rd and 10, a minute, 51 left. Dallas has 2 timeouts left, and so does the Vikings. So do the Vikings, I should say. Cunningham, incomplete. Woodson came in to break it up, and here's the flag this time. Woodson's almost playing with 1 arm.
Yeah, but you know, you talk about you know tough guys and use the word warrior and all those things, and sometimes you throw it around loosely, but with Darren Woodson you don't.
Number 28 defense, automatic first down.
This is close.
I mean, he's just coming up here, and you see that he comes running in there. Now they have to call his right hand there. You see the ball is in the air. Now watch his right hand. You see the right hand or arm hits Carter before the ball gets there. See, he got the left hand around in front, which was good, and it was a right hand in the back that they caught.
Cowboys showing blitz again, and here they come, and Cunningham fires deep. This time is Matthew Hatchett, who was split wide to the right.
That was a guy that Denny Green said was going to be their 3rd wide receiver this year had they not drafted Randy Moss. That they really liked him a year ago, and it was going to be, you know, Chris Carter, Jake Reed, and Matthew Hatchett. And then he said when they got Randy Moss, that kind of put Matt Hatchett back 1. So now instead of being the 3rd wide receiver, he was a 4th wide receiver. Now with Jake Reed out, he again becomes the 3rd wide receiver.
David Palmer now is the deep back behind Cunningham. Walsh goes in motion. Stussy backed up too soon. And let's see who it's against.
We see more and more of these pre-snap penalties at this point in the season. I mean, you shouldn't have these, you know, pre-snap penalties this late in the season, but it seems like every week you see, you know, like 5 or 6 per game. I think that's what the average is, 5 or 6 per game.
It's against Dallas.
Remember the new rule.
Number 78 defense, 5-yard penalty.
The new rule that they put in, if the defense moves and makes the offense move, that then the penalty is against the defense.
There's Kavika Pittman who jumped, and then Stussy started to back up.
Yeah, they used to say that a guy could jump and then get back.
Yep.
And then they would call it on the offense if the offense moved. Now if the guy jumps and makes the offense move, they call it against the defense.
A minute 40 left. Leroy Horde back in the game now, the deep back.
Cowboys are in a prevent. They have a 3-man line.
Cunningham to work, and here he goes running and dives down back at the line of scrimmage. past the line of scrimmage. Actually picked up about 4 yards.
Very close to a first
Yeah.
down. And again, with the 3-man line, he sees that because when you rush 3, you have a guy up in the middle and a guy from either side, and you have lanes. So you got this, and this, and you have lanes in there to run for first down.
3rd and about 1 was all.
And he did it right there. He saw that lane. You see, that's just what I was talking about is you have a guy in the middle and 2 guys outside, and you have a lane to run in anytime you want it. See, now here's what he sees. He sees a guy here, and a guy here. So he knows that he has a lane right here, and he has a lane right here, and he decides to take this one behind Randall McDaniel.
Whichever way the guy over the center takes, he goes the other way.
And the 3-man line with the linebackers off will always give you that. The Cowboys are in a 4-man line now.
And Cunningham throws outside to Carter, still on his feet. Cunningham chased out of bounds at about the Cowboy 27. And he said, how about a face mask? How about it?
Chris Carter is one of those guys that is totally into the game, and he's in such good shape. I mean, he really believes that, you know, he can break any tackle, and he believes that he gets stronger as the game goes on. Watch the move that he makes right here. I mean, he makes a move on 2 of them, and they're young guys, and, you know, Chris Carter's the old guy. Chris Carter makes them look like the old guy. And then he asked for a face mask, and probably rightly so.
34 seconds left to play in the first half. The Vikings still with 2 timeouts. Cunningham, the ball batted up in the air and falls harmlessly.
You know, you think of Randy Moss, and, you know, and the big catches he make, you'll notice that Chris Carter's already caught over 100 yards of passes today. But here again, we talk about the lanes, and you see if you can either rush the passer and knock him down, or you just get in the lane. You know, if George Teague, if he doesn't trip right there, he might have gotten to that ball.
2nd down and 10. Cunningham back to throw it. Going for Carter. Incomplete. That's good defense.